Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is not a designer baby talking to your ass. You feel me? Oh, God. Um, I guess technically for the record, that isn't a bad word, you feel me? Because, like, ass just means butt, you know? And, that's cool. Going back to that, have you guys heard of designer babies? You know what I'm talking about? I know, again, most of us are grounded in the real world, looking for jobs, try to figure out how to pay for grandma's health care. She approaches the age of 70 and, needs to decide whether or not to reverse mortgage her house so that she can afford medical care. Oh, deep, dark joke, you feel me? Well aware of these situations. Come from a family where we literally had to sell all of our shit, just to afford dialysis. Okay, so if you didn't know, dialysis is a very expensive procedure. It's essentially, a machine that acts as your kidney, and takes all of the blood out of your body, cleans it, like your kidneys would, or kidney. Oh God. Anyways, I do know that healthcare is a huge expense. You feel me? And that right now, the best of us, the guys that have millions of dollars in the bank, the ones that have no worries whatsoever, other than to just kind of make sure that you have less than them. You feel me? I mean, what a worry. Can you imagine being a multimillionaire, a billionaire, and not even having to remotely consider any kind of ethical behavior? I mean, when you're Musk, who cares about a nuclear family? You feel me? I mean, this guy's trying to Genghis Khan this bitch, Like, Jesus Christ, Elon Musk. It's weird how people like that have a lot in common with the very same people who buy ranches in the middle of New Mexico and plan on seeding the earth with their lovely sperm. Shout out to Epstein and all of his other creepy Iowa mofos who have, who turn the world into their fanciful little, PDF, playground or whatever, quite literally. Oh, Jesus, what a terrible joke. But we do know that these predators exist. We know that Epstein was and still could possibly be alive. We know that new evidence has provided us with the fact that Adolf Hitler himself may not have, ended when we originally had thought. So, the thing is like designer babies are just another step towards, the completion of some fascist mainline goals, which is to like essentially utilize science as a precursor to gaslight you, to make you feel a kind of a way through propaganda, so that at the end of the day, the only things walking around on 2 feet with 2 arms have a certain color eyes and, a certain color skin or whatever. Like eugenics, all in and of itself. We now know that eugenics is not a thing. You feel me? Eugenicism, all of these larger concepts that I'm pretty familiar with, right? Just because I've done my fair share of reading and stuff, and so much as I like to be a shameless asshole on camera, I like to, for the most part, get what I say as accurate as possible. Friendly reminder, these are all impromptu speeches, and I will take this time out of this speech now to recognize my mistakes in some earlier speeches that I now am just thinking of. So who doesn't confuse Joe Rogan and Dana White? You feel me? I mean, can you forgive a guy? They both go to the same things and say a lot of the same stuff and gamble all the time together, and that's fodder for us peasants as, again, we fail to recognize that while this boy out here is making mistakes, talking trash about the likes of Joe Rogan and Dana White, again, just because, like, who doesn't think they look exactly the same? You feel me? I mean, throw Alex Jones in there and you got like a whole trifecta of, I know that Alex Jones has a beard now and stuff, so it's all good. I'm just saying, minus the facial hair, the three of them could have a striking resemblance. That's all that I'm saying. Regardless, designer babies don't let, any type of, thought enter your mind. Anything, it's eugenics, right? This is eugenicism, and what's unfortunate is that while a certain select group of people, concern themselves with the worries of creating designer babies, with the most desirable traits that they can possibly muster, so that, it's just weird, okay? I've been using Iowa a lot just because that means cringe, in case you didn't know. But, real Iowa, you feel me? Just because, like, we should be focused on things like universal basic income, things like universal health care, you feel me? These are mainline priorities, and in fact, in a scientific way, we definitely should be funding more studies that, aren't so much in line with the very skewed idea that or that but perfection can be reached, from the silly little humans taking out the silly little genes and the silly little cellular stuff. It's crazy. It's wild shit. You feel me? Again, that, like, so many resources and tools are being allocated towards creating the perfect person, when I think we all know deep down in our heart that there is no such thing. You know what I'm talking about? Human being, Mr. Homo, Mrs. Homo sapien, you feel me? There's no such thing as a perfect human being, right? I can't be any more clear about this. I mean, goddamn, we're all pretty imperfect so far as I'm concerned, and that's even to the best of us, secular and or religious, right? I mean, we all make mistakes, you feel me? And, some of us make more mistakes than others, but I just do not think that we assess or properly talk about how bigger mistakes are made and why we choose not to hold these institutions or these people in particular accountable for pushing shit like this. You feel me? Again, like, there was the sequencing of the Human Genome Project, right? This was something that I had heard all about in elementary school, secondary, you feel me? It was sort of like, the genome, we're going to map out the human genome, right? And when we do that, that will mean that different kinds of cancers can be cured. We can potentially clone people a lot easier. There was a lot of invaluable, priceless data points that were derived from that particular study. And that study took a long ass time, and it was a study conducted by officials from different parts of the world. This was a good thing, right? And this is how it was sold. But fast forward, I think 27 years later or something, I think the human genome was mapped out in like either 1998 or 2002, somewhere in between those years. But nothing has been done since, right? And so it's pretty clear to me that all of the science-based progress that we've made in the last quarter of a century has literally gone to Dolly the sheep and making designer babies, right? So, like, Dolly was the first animal ever cloned, right? And you didn't know that. She was a sheep. It was a sheep. And she was cloned. And again, I think this was right around the same time, either just before or after the Human Genome Project was completed. But I just know for a fact that designer babies aren't the way to go. I think, and I'm being absolutely serious in character when I say that there is hope and, a need for cybernetic organisms, right? I mean, just because, again, if you've ever needed an amputation or something, God forbid, I think Luke Skywalker's left hand is the way that we're going, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the improvement of our own physical characteristics, can be tried out in different ways, right? Put some robot legs on me. Give me a Luke Skywalker hand. It doesn't matter, right? Those things can be argued as improvements, right? Or at the very least, an improvement from something that's terribly happened to you or whatever, you feel me? But I just think that not only is it unfair, and obviously the end game of all of this shit is to, like, literally, create better soldiers, for lack of a better literal and unironic word, right? Because the whole world is an industrial military complex that is a succubus, literally, and drains the life out of all sovereign nations in all times in perpetuity, while we sit back and do nothing. You feel me? There's a lot wrong with that. I think that I just, it doesn't make sense. Help me make it make sense, right? Help me make it make sense. I think no one can, not unless, you're a billionaire or something and you're interested in some real esoteric shit. I mean, how evil can you be? The world is burning and you're more concerned about making sure your child looks like Brad Pitt. You feel me? Like, again, kudos to Brad Pitt, Nature throws some fastballs, guys, and sometimes, other people are better looking than you. Sometimes other people are smarter than you. Sometimes other people are faster than you. They're just better than you, right? Like, and that's okay, like, I have no problem with that. And in fact, it would be a disservice to the human, race if there wasn't billions of people better than me. I mean, like, what are we shooting here for? I know my whole life is set at a pretty low bar here, but can we raise it for the rest of us? Can we raise it just a little bit so that we don't have to continue to literally work and make money for the very same people who wish to create a perfect race of human beings? Good luck with that shit. I mean, I just, again, why are people like that? I don't get it. People are imperfect. This is our inherited trait. Evolution has brought a lot of imperfection to this native species. Allegedly, and it's just sort of like, all right, we can deal with that. But I don't think that making or attempting to make improvements to our kinship, our kids, and all this other stuff, I don't think they'll find any credible positive impact in their lives, right? I just don't think that a bunch of automatons, a bunch of people that all look like Brad Pitt, what more could they possibly get done than what we're already get done? And, it's just ass backwards in that we could be focusing all of this scientific research into so many different things that benefit the majority of people instead of just a few people, and I think designer babies are Iowa. You feel me? I'm saying it now, and like, I guess in 20 years when the super rich class is defending, their lineage, right, in the form of, I mean, again, no hate. I think any life brought into this world is fair game. We should all experience whatever kind of positive, sentient, VR kind of a thing. I think that's a right. It's a right that you're granted the moment that you become any one of those aforementioned things and find yourself alive. Whatever that means, right? I just think that it could be done better. You feel me? And not to mention that we don't know the long-term repercussions or effects or impacts that designer people may or may not have in the future. I mean, their proclivity towards actually getting different kinds of cancer, we just don't know. You feel me? And while we may do our best to eradicate certain diseases on a molecular level before they're born or whatever, I mean, you start playing God, you feel me, for all lack of a better analogy, and I don't think things are going to work out for you in the way that you wanted them to. And I don't think it needs an Aesop fable or a Bible scripture or a secular, presentation at an academia blaze to tell you guys that shit is wrong. You feel me? That, like, it's not something that is completely so wrong that we can't, talk about it as a society, right? And think about its long-term implications. It's not to be done the way that it's currently being done in the manner of which is trying to be making it happen. You feel me? That's all that I'm saying. And designer babies are not a good idea. I think it will only add to an already complex and kind of awkward, healthcare system. And one thing at a time, right? And I think we need to sort of all make sure that we have basic access to basic things, all of which, is essentially open source information that has been harvested, in the last 30 years or so from scientific institutions all over the world, right? There's the Higgs boson thing. There's a lot of good stuff, again, happening around the world. None of it here in America, but, shout out to, I guess, the nations of, like, oh God, who's doing good right now? Denmark, Finland, Ireland's killing it right now. There's a lot of countries that are doing very well. Denmark is doing great. I guess the Dutch colonies or Dutch countries have always managed to squeeze their way out of a tight place, I guess, for lack of a better words. And the Swedes are doing awesome, and Switzerland has never been better. I mean, again, you may think that I'm talking shit, but I'm absolutely not. You can fact check all of this, right? And so, designer babies, not a good idea. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate it. I wanted to talk about that for a couple days now. Watched an interesting video, link in the description below. Talks more about designer babies and how it's a thing. It's not just speculation. It's not just something that may or may not happen. It's happening right now. And again, we should all be feeling a little Iowa about it, just because, what's the mortality rate, for underprivileged people, all over the world? I don't even need to look that up. I can unfortunately postulate that the mortality rate for underprivileged, underrepresented, and underserved communities around the entire world, women obviously, have never seen the kind of horrific treatment and or terrible life that they're going through, right? All while rich parents are, making 6-figure, 7-figure decisions on how they're going to genetically alter their offspring so that they can have an advantage in life, when in fact they already are born with many advantages in life. And so if there ever was a perfect definition of status quo, I guess that's where you find it. But I plead with you guys to not do that. You feel me? At the very least, we can make it, pretty clear that normal people aren't for that shit. Just because, I just can't see any rational, middle class, lower class person, which is, again, I'd say 80% of America, right? I mean, and that number is pretty conservative. I don't think 20% of America is absolutely killing it, but maybe more like 8%. I'd go with an 8% figure. The other 92% of us are kind of stuck here, in this trap or whatever. And it's just important to just, not support the politicians that are making it okay for things like this to happen, all while being completely unregulated and just, I don't know how that works out. I don't think it's going to work out well for anybody, but it will definitely continue to work out for those people that have all the access to, even consider having a designer baby. I know that there's a lot of funky stuff that happens in Western medicine, right? We don't really practice preventative healthcare here so much as ostentatious, get sick and then we may or may not be able to treat you kind of a thing. Scary times, but designer babies, not a fan of, you feel me? Not in character, not out of character, I just think it's kind of weird, and it doesn't matter if I think it's weird. What does matter is that there are other things that we as a country should be doing and allocating this money towards. It just sucks when the government steals everything from everyone and then just gives it to a few certain people. That's not good. It's not very democratic, goddammit. I don't see anything at all democratic about any of that. I just don't, but maybe it's me, maybe I'm just not seeing through the glass properly or whatever. But designer babies, terrible idea, for real. Low-key, terrible idea. I don't think people should be doing it. And in fact, you know, there should be regulation on this shit. Like, we should be making laws to regulate it instead of letting it go out of control as it currently is. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope that you guys have a really good night. If you're not already a subscriber, smash the subscribe button, and I hope that y'all take care of yourselves, alright? Bye.